Okay, I think we have everybody here that's going to be here. I'm not sure about Andrew. Is he online? Do you know? We haven't heard that he's coming, but it is 7 o'clock, and I think with the weather that it's been the last few days, that we'll get started here. And sooner we get started, the sooner we'll get done. Um, so just before we begin our meeting. For the second time in a month, I would like to acknowledge the passing of one of our dedicated staff, Richard Wright. Richard served as manager of our Environmental Services Department. He began his employment in West Perth working for American Water, who at that time had the contract to look after water and wastewater for West Perth. When we took the operations of this department in-house, Richard became the manager of Environmental Services, which included water, wastewater, and the landfills. Richard was a valued member of our team. His work ethic, kindness, and humor made him respected and appreciated by all he encountered. He will certainly be missed. He was the beloved husband of Jackie, loving father of Melissa Wright and Jesse Felix, loving stepfather of Riley Verhoeven and James Wetlaufer. A celebration of Richard's life will be held at a later date. So as just before we call our meeting to order, I would ask that we have a moment of silent reflection and remember Richard's family in our thoughts. Okay, thank you. So we'll call the meeting to order. There is a couple changes on the agenda. James, I'll let you explain that. I don't know if everybody has the most up-to-date agenda, do they?
Through the chair, yes. The agenda's been amended to defer item 7.2.1. That's the investment policy report to a future meeting. And we've also added a report under 7.5.2 being the fire protection grant. And members of council should have a copy of that report on your desk before you. So that addition has been added and we'll move to that as item 7.5.2. I'll turn it back to you, Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So just to note that Councillor Chessel and Councillor Rose are not with us tonight. They're on a bit of a winter break, probably in a spot that's a little warmer than it is here. And our treasurer is also online. She's at home, a little under the weather, but she's online just the same. So that would account for everybody on our agenda tonight. So the first item then is acceptance of the agenda as amended. Do we have a mover and seconder for that? Councillor Feltz and Councillor Vink. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That's carried. So does anybody have a conflict of interest with anything in? Councillor Foster?
I feel I should step out for 5.1 as I'm
Okay.
a neighboring parcel.
So notice, Doug?
7.5.1.
Okay, so noted. Okay. The next item is the consent agenda. And we have 4 items there, including the minutes of the last meeting on January the 12th. Is there anything there that anybody would like a little more clarification on or would like pulled and dealt with separately? Okay, I don't see any hands going up. So recommendation would be that the Council of the Municipality of West Perth accept the consent items 4.1 to 4.3 for information and the minutes of the January 12th, 2026 regular meeting be adopted. Mover and seconder for that. Moved by Councillor Duck, seconded by Councillor Foster. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That is carried. So we do have a public meeting to deal with a planning matter this evening. So at this time, I will call the public meeting to order at 7:04 p.m. And I will ask our clerk, James Hudson, for the purpose of the public meeting.
Thank you through the chair. The purpose of this public meeting is to allow interested members of the public the opportunity to ask questions or to offer comments about a proposed amendment to bylaw 100/1998, being the zoning bylaw, which is affecting the property known as 5896 line 16. If any member of the public would like to be notified in writing of the decision made by council, we ask that you provide your name, mailing address, and email to clerk@westperth.com. Thank you, and I'll turn it back to you, Chair.
Okay, as our clerk said, this is a public meeting for a zoning bylaw amendment application submitted by Monteith Ritzma Phillips Professional Corporation on behalf of Mount Pleasant Farms Incorporated. I will now call upon John Bice, planner for the County of Perth, to review the application and present any correspondence received. So, John, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Mackenzie and Council. Please forgive my voice this evening. So before you is a zoning bylaw amendment application, ZN 13-2025. It's located at the Red Star, which is 5896 line 16, and it's just south of Russelldale. Council should be familiar with this site as there's been a few applications over the past year or so, but just to jog your memory, this rezoning is a condition of consent B30-25, which severed a lot about 1.84 acres in size and retained a farm lot of 35.5 hectares. So the area outlined in yellow, that's to be rezoned A1 to allow the non-farm residential dwelling. And then the area outlined in red is to be rezoned A-3 subscript 17 to ensure no residential dwellings or mobile homes can be established on that retained farmland. The site-specific nature of that zone is to allow a reduced lot frontage from the 200-meter requirement down to 178 to fulfill the conditions of consent there. So no concerns were expressed by any members of the public, to my knowledge. The dwelling at 5420 line 26 was the consolidation and is surplus to Mount Pleasant Farms needs. Servicing is to remain private, and as I said, this is a condition of consent. So public notice was sent on January 6th, 2026, and as mentioned, no comments have been received. Planning staff are recommending approval at this time, and I'd be happy to take any questions.
Okay, thank you, John. I don't believe the applicant or agent is here this evening or online. So is there anybody present that wishes to speak in support of this application? Is there anyone present that wishes to be opposed to this application? Any general comments or questions from council? I see no hands going up, nothing waving their arms dramatically here. So I would like to thank everybody for their comments. Should council proceed with the adoption of the zoning bylaw amendments, the notice of passing will be provided as prescribed by the Planning Act and a 20-day appeal period to the Ontario Land Tribunal. We'll now close the public meeting at 7:08 p.m. And coming out of that, I do have a recommendation, and the recommendation is that the Council of Municipality of West Perth approve zoning 13/2025 submitted by Monteith Ritzma Phillips Professional Corporation on behalf of Mount Pleasant Farms, Inc., affecting lands legally described as Part Lot 22, Concession 12 Fullerton in the Municipality of West Perth. Do we have a mover and seconder for that? Councillor Harold and Councillor Vink. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That's carried. All right. We don't have any delegations or presentations, I believe, at this time. So we'll move on to reports. And the first one is Planning Department. Again, John, part lot control application 8/2025 and 9/2025 for 789274 Ontario Inc. So John, I'll turn the floor over to you again.
Thank you, Mayor Mackenzie. So there's two part lot control applications before you here. part lot control 8 and 9 of 2025. The owner is a numbered company, and Zelenka Priamo is the applicant or agent on the file. The location is at the Red Star, which is south of William Street, and then on the east side of Anderson Lane. And the locations or the parcels are 179 to 181 Anderson and 175 to 177 Anderson. So taking on part lot control 8 first, the R plan that was submitted identifies a semi-detached dwelling to be split in half. Lot 1 being the first half, and then lot 2 being the second parcel. Zoning bylaw was reviewed by staff, and all zoning matters were consistent with the West Perth zoning bylaw. Moving on to part lot control 9, which is the lot directly to the south. Again, splitting one semi-detached dwelling in half. Lot 1 being the first parcel and lot 2 being the second. No concerns with the zoning bylaw were had there either. Both foundations are in for both of the semi-detached dwellings, and planning staff recommend approval for both at this time.
Okay, thanks, John. I do believe the agent is online. If there's anything further to add, if there's any questions, any questions from council? Okay, don't see anything further that the agent would want to add on behalf of the applicant. Don't hear anything. Okay. I think we're good. So I do have a recommendation here that the Council of Municipality of West Perth approve applications PLC 8, 2025 and PLC 9, 2025 submitted by Zelenka Priamo on behalf of 789274 Ontario Inc. for the exemption of part lot control on lands legally described as Plan 44M-95, Lot 15 Mitchell in the Municipality of West Perth, being all of PIN 53188-8728 and Plan 44M-96, Lot 16 Mitchell in the Municipality of West Perth, being all of PIN 53188-0729 and forwarded to the County of Perth for approval, and that the approved bylaws be provided to the Municipality of West Perth to be registered on title. Do we have a mover and seconder for that? Moved by Councillor O'Donnell, seconded by Councillor Phelps. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That is carried. So the next one is part lot control application number 10, 2025. Eckert Construction Limited, 95 to 97 Kenton Street. And again, John, I'll let you walk us through that one.
Thank you again, Mayor McKenzie. So this is an additional part lot control application for a different municipal address. The owners are DG Eckert Construction Limited. It's at the Red Star, which is just north of Kenton Street, 95 to 97 Kenton Street. So this image just shows the R plan that was deposited and further identifies which of the parcels that are being split up. So you can see a zoomed in version on the northern portion of Kenton Street there. Parts 13 and 14 will be one half of the semi-detached dwelling to be split, and then parts 15 and 16 are the other. Next slide, please. Okay, so the R plan, like I said, identified those two lots to be split. The zoning was reviewed and is in conformity. The semi-detached dwelling is in conformity with the zoning bylaw parameters in the West Perth zoning bylaw. And planning staff are recommending approval at this time. Thanks.
Okay, thanks, John. Any questions from members of council? Okay. I don't see any questions, so we do have a recommendation here that the Municipality of West Perth approve the application PLC 10, 2025 submitted by DG Eckert Construction Limited for the exemptions of part lot control on lands legally described as Plan 44M dash 88, Lot 4, Mitchell in the municipality of West Perth, being all of PIN number 532000406, and forward it to the County of Perth for approval, and that the approved bylaw be provided to the municipality of West Perth to be registered on title. We have a mover and seconder for that one. Moved by Councillor Duck, seconded by Councillor Foster. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That is carried. And carrying on with planning issues, we have one more application for a severance. So, John, again, I'll let you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor McKenzie and council. So this consent application before you is consent application B49-25. It is located at 6494 line 34, which is just to the west of Mitchell there. And it's at the Red Star. So the lot to be severed is approximately 2.9 acres with approximately 84.5 meters of frontage on line 34. And the lot to be retained, it will be 19.3 hectares with approximately 119 meters of frontage on the highway. This is the severance sketch that was provided by Grid Engineering, identifying the layout of the severed portion. So as with all surplus farm dwelling severances, a condition will be that it will need to be rezoned. So the area in yellow will need to be rezoned A1 to recognize the permitted residential and accessory uses. And then the area outlined in red will need to be rezoned A3 to prohibit residential development. So notice was provided on November 25th. No comments were received by members of the public. Line 34 is a highway controlled by the Ministry of Transportation. However, we have not received formal comments from the MTO at this point. This, I'm just letting you know this essentially is in case they decide to provide comments before it goes to either the Land Division Committee or the DA. Typically, what we see from the MTO in these circumstances are they'll look for access permits. So they'll look for any sort of change that would be made. They would essentially get an access permit for the severed and the retained parcel for a farm access, the severed for a normal dwelling access. So these are pretty standard comments. Just wanted to flag it because we haven't received those comments yet. But if we do, then we'll essentially just change one condition on the file. And it's just after going to West Perth, it would be before the DA or the Land Division Committee. Just kind of as for your information at this point. So the severed lot size is considered appropriate based on the large distance setback the dwelling is from the highway. And the consolidated farmer operation was from 6890 line 26, which is in West Perth. The dwelling is also considered habitable. And this is the accessory building used for vehicles and accessory residential uses. I'll be happy to take any questions at this time. Planning staff recommending approval.
Okay, thanks, John. Any questions from members of council? Okay, don't see any hands. The access for the farm can probably be obtained. Like I think that's all worked as one field with the farm beside it. So that probably isn't that critical, I would think, to them. If there's no questions, then we have a resolution here that the Council Municipality of West Perth recommends that the County of Perth Land Division Committee or its designate approve consent application file B49-25 and that council forward the conditions listed in the staff report dated January the 26th, 2026 to the County of Perth Land Division Committee or its designate for consent file B49-25 affecting the property legally described as Part Lot 23, Concession 1, Logan, being the east half in the municipality of West Perth. Do we have a mover and seconder for that? Councillor Foster, Councillor Fournier. Any further questions? All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That is carried. Thank you, John. All right, the next item is one that we've pulled for the night for a future meeting. So that brings us down to 7.3.1 with regards to the Campbell Hustle Municipal Drain and the consideration of the engineer's report. And we do have Curtis McIntyre with us. And I think this is probably the first time, is it? Have you been here before? Once before, okay. I'm sorry it wasn't memorable that I remember. Okay, all right.
There we go. Wonderful. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of council. I'm pleased to present K-Smart Associates report on the Campbell Husel Drain. This project was originally initiated by a petition under Section 4 of the Drainage Act by Margaret Campbell for the enclosure of an existing open ditch in Lot 18, Concession 6, Fullerton Ward, started in May of 2017. To help orientate everyone with where we are in the township, Campbell Husel Drain water set is centered on line 26, just northeast of the village of Fullerton. Fullerton is just off the bottom left corner of the page. On this map, the solid black lines are the drains. The solid bold line is the proposed work. And the bold dashed line is the extents of the watershed. In this area, in this part of the township, surface water flows generally in a westerly direction, kind of across line 26 and towards Thames River. The original designated engineer on this project from our firm was John Kunze. John held the initial meeting back in 2017 with the petitioner, Mrs. Campbell, and the other neighboring affected owners. Takeaways from that meeting were that the existing open ditch requested for enclosure was private, so it has no status under the Drainage Act to begin with before we started this project. There were questions raised about whether the project should continue further upstream, involving more owners. And finally, kind of the neighbor across the road at the time, I think they've sold to somebody else, but Mr. Andy DeVries rents the land and was at the time the main spokesperson for the work. Mr. DeVries also rents the adjacent land to the east, the Husel Farm as well. At the beginning of 2025, due to workload constraints from John, the project manager was switched in our company to Neil Morris. Neil Morris did meet with the owners back at the beginning of a year ago, 2025, identified the proposed drain were to reach line 26 where the surface waters cross line 26 from the south going to the north. As everyone felt was kind of needed to do, in order to do so, it would require a petition also signed by the Husel Farm. So around March, April 2025, the municipality received the second petition for this project, and that was signed by Marianne Husel. Final PM switch came in July of last year to myself, as Neil Morris at that time was no longer working with the company. I did work on this project before I got my engineer's stamp under John, so I had knowledge on the project beforehand, so that was beneficial. I met one more time with the owners in October of last year, and as I'd like to say here to council at that meeting, I did apologize to the owners for the number of switches and time it's taken to get here. Shouldn't take this long, and if I was an owner on a project, I also wouldn't wish to take it this long as well, and especially when there isn't necessarily significant hurdles. All the owners are really well to work with. Nonetheless, here we are. So at the October meeting, we walked through the proposed design details that had just recently received a letter of advice from Department of Fisheries and Oceans, which say that the work is unlikely to result in the death or destruction of fish and fish habitat. Owners were content with the design and assessments, with one last collective adjustment that the drain should extend across line 26 to the south side to the Kane Farm. So Murray Kane agreed and signed the final petition that council received back in December. So that leads me to my report here. In order to address the three petitions now collectively that have been brought together on this project and the areas requiring drainage for those petitions, this report proposes a new municipal drain referred to as the Campbell Husel Drain. The capacity for the drain is sized to the 1.5-inch drainage coefficient. I'm sure you've heard many engineers come before you here talk about that. It's 1.5 is 1.5 of water over surface on a given area will be taken away by the drain in 24 hours. So the following details are 9 meters of 450, that's 18-inch plastic pipe with a rodent gate at the north limits of the Campbell property buildings. That's at the end of the enclosure. Installation of 391 meters of 450 to 350 concrete tile. 150 of those meters is along the existing private open ditch that's proposed to enclosure. The rest of it continues up. The rest of the tile continues up to and across line 26. 3 catch basins, or sorry, 1 buried junction box in the Campbell field where there's a bunch of connections for tiles. And then 2 catch basins one on either side of line 26. And finally, line 26 would be proposed a 300 millimeter steel casing pipe by Jack and Bore. So not to be open cut, but drilled under the road. If we switch down on the PDF, a couple more pages there. Thanks, Becky. Right, one more. Sorry, there we go. Yeah, so this is the part of the report where we outline the costs, the full estimated costs in the project. The estimated cost of construction is approximately $79,000. If you just skip one more page down, Becky. There, 79, thank you, $79,000. $7,700 we provided in allowances. Allowances cover damages to crops for the total working area needed for construction, as well as the right of way for the drain to use the land in the future, now and in the future. Final total engineering estimate in the report that includes this report, meetings, and construction supervision is approximately $46,000 for a total project cost of $140,000. I say this often, but at this meeting, we don't typically get into how assessments are done. There is another meeting for that. But got the quarter revision. I'll just add that this report does contain a Schedule A and Schedule B for the cost, or to assess the cost of construction and future maintenance. And the majority of the work is grant eligible, and the amounts of grant are shown in our Schedule C with the net assessments for other properties. So that's all I have to present. I'd be happy to field any questions from council or owners.
Okay, thank you, Curtis. Any questions from members of council? Any questions from the landowners? All right, you solved, it made everybody happy.
Should have been done quicker, but
Wow.
I'm glad that we don't have questions at least.
Okay, if there's no further questions, then we do have a recommendation here, and this, the Council Municipality of West Perth accepts the report dated December the 5th, 2025 from K-Smart Associates Limited for the Campbell Husel Drain. That's how you say it. I always call it Hustle. Husel. Okay, I'll remember that. And that the council provisionally adopt the engineer's report for the Campbell Husel Municipal Drain by giving first and second reading to bylaw number 8, 2026, and the quarter revision for the Campbell Husel Municipal Drain be scheduled for March the 2nd, 2026. Moved by Councillor Foster, seconded by Councillor Duck. Last call for questions. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That is carried. Thank you, Curtis. All right, moving on, the next item has to do with our clerk, and it's municipal and school board election voting vendor services. So, James?
Thank you through the chair. Yes, I just wanted to provide a little bit of an information update to council with respect to the selection of our voting vendor for the provision of the 2026 municipal and school board elections. So we did a little bit of work searching out and looking at the different vendors across the province, and we've settled on Simply Voting. So Simply Voting is a well-known company. They've done I'm going to say about 50 elections in this area off the top of my head. They've worked within Perth County in the previous 2022 elections. They're a known reputable vendor. And we're looking forward to working with them for the 2026 election. So just wanted to provide that update to council, just out of the spirit of keeping them in the loop with where we're at with things. You can anticipate going forward from here some more information to come forward around key dates with the municipal election, with the first of those key dates coming as on May 1st, 2026 being the open of the nomination period. So I'll leave it there unless there's any questions from council on that report. Thank you.
Okay, any questions for the clerk? Councillor Vink?
Maybe just a note for the clerk, if I may, through you, Mayor McKenzie. One of the previous elections, online elections, there was an interruption during the voting day because of an outage at the provider. Have you been in some discussions with this provider on how they might deal with such a thing, or have they since put provisions in place to eliminate such an outage so we don't have a duplicate of a previous election?
Thank you. And while I'll knock on wood in this response, but certainly I know what you're referring to there. And it was an outage incident that affected many Ontario municipalities during the election. So certainly we'll hope nothing like that occurs. We look at putting some contingencies in place with our technology with some Wi-Fi backup devices, about the best way I can describe that at the high level. So trying to have those technology backups in place if there's a failure of the internet, sort of in-house or an in-house technology. At the end of the day, though, can't control, something catastrophic that may occur outside of that. And should that occur, we'd look at the emergency provisions under our election procedures and proceed accordingly. So we hope something like that, nothing doesn't occur. Thanks.
Any other questions? Okay, don't see any. We do have a recommendation here that the Council Municipality of West Perth receives the 2026 Municipal and School Board Election Voting Vendor Services Report for information. Mover and seconder, Councillor Harold, Councillor O'Donnell. All those in favor? Opposed, if any, that's carried. Okay, moving on then. Bill, I guess if you want to come up, got a couple items for you. And the first one is with regards to a donation. So, Bill?
Great. Thank you, Mayor and Council. First report tonight, we're just seeking direction from Council for the treasurer about a donation to the Perth County Mutual Aid Association. The municipality did receive a $1,000 check from the District 9 Grain Farmers of Ontario. The check was a donation in memory of Cody Phelps. So through discussion with the GFO rep, they knew that Cody was passionate about the water games. So based on that, we're respectfully requesting that council authorize a payment from the municipality to the Perth County Mutual Aid Association in the amount of $1,000. And obviously there would be no effect on the budget. And I'll try and answer any questions.
Okay, thanks, Bill. Any questions with regards to that? Okay, no questions, but we do have a recommendation that the municipality of West Perth directs the treasurer to issue a $1,000 check to the Perth County Mutual Aid Association on behalf of District 9 Grain Farmers of Ontario in memory of Cody Phelps. Have a mover and seconder for that. Councillor O'Donnell, Councillor Fournier. All those in favor? Opposed, if any, that is carried. Thank you. And the next item then, Bill?
Yes, so the next one is the fire protection grant. This is round 2. When the province announced this, they said it was going to be 3 rounds and similar amounts of money. However, for this round, they actually doubled or almost doubled the amount of money for us. So we were successful in getting just over $18,300. These funds were noted in the 2026 capital budget, and they will be used to purchase items that will mitigate exposure to toxins for the firefighters, all in line with the cancer prevention that the province wants us to concentrate on. So we're just requesting that the mayor and clerk be authorized to sign that agreement with the province, and I'll gladly answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for the fire chief on that? Okay, seeing none, we do have a recommendation here, and it is that the municipality of West Perth approve the execution of an agreement with His Majesty the King in right of Ontario as represented by the Office of the Fire Marshal respecting the fire protection grant, and that the mayor and clerk be authorized to sign the agreement on behalf of the municipality. Mover and seconder for that? Moved by Councillor Duck, seconded by Councillor Harold. All those in favor? Opposed, if any, that is carried. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Next item up is under Director of Operations, but it's with regards to the ICI Recycling Information Report. And Kevin is here, I think. Yes, sitting in the back corner. Floor is yours, Kevin.
Thank you for having me back. For the ICI Recycling Information Report, recommendation that Council of the Municipality of West Perth direct that industrial, commercial, and institutional recycling and landfill disposal shall be provided at municipal expense, and further that the cost of recycling and disposal of ICI materials shall be financial responsibility of the property owner. Purpose, staff recommend maintaining a user pay approach for industrial, commercial, and institutional recycling. As ICI activities are commercial in nature and funding such services through the municipal tax base would result in residential taxpayers subsidizing businesses and institutional recycling operations. This approach aligns with the provincial extended producer responsibility framework and supports equitable cost allocation. The purpose of this report is to inform council of provincial mandated changes to ICI recycling services under Ontario's extended producer responsibility framework, and to provide staff's recommendation that regarding whether the municipality should fund ICI recycling at the landfill or leave responsibility with ICI property owners. Background, Ontario is transitioning to a full extended producer responsibility model for recycling. Under this framework, producer responsibility organizations are responsible for funding and collecting. Residential blue box recycling only. The Ministry of the Environment, Conservation and Parks has confirmed that effective January 1st, 2026, PROS will no longer collect or fund any ICI recycling. This includes small quantities of ICI material historically deposited at municipal landfills and depots. These requirements are set through provincial regulation and apply to all municipalities across Ontario. Municipalities are not permitted to include ICI recycling within the residential blue box system. Analysis, provincial compliance requirements. Under the EPR framework, producer responsibility is limited to residential recycling. ICI recycling is not eligible for producer funding. ICI material cannot be co-collected with residential recycling. Recycling service providers must operate separate trucks, routes, staffing, and schedules for ICI recycling to remain compliant. As a result, ICI recycling must operate entirely outside the residential recycling system. Rationale for staff recommendation. Staff do not recommend that the municipality absorb ICI recycling costs at the landfill for the following reasons. ICI recycling is a commercial activity and it is distinct from residential waste management. Absorbing these costs would require residential taxpayers to subsidize private businesses and institutional recycling. User pay model aligns with provincial policy direction and the principles of fairness and cost accountability. Maintaining clear separation between residential and ICI recycling reduces contamination risk and regulatory exposure. ICI property owners retain the ability to contract directly for recycling services or utilize available ICI recycling programs offered by Blue Water Recycling Association. Financial impact on landfill and municipal depot recycling. Beginning January 1st, 2026, recycling dumpsters located at the municipal landfills or depots may remain free of charge only if staff can ensure that residential material exclusively is deposited. If ICI material is placed in these dumpsters, the common collection system operator may impose service fees or refuse collection. All ICI recycling dumpsters are subject to a $44 per lift charge. Landfill and the depot sites will be monitored to ensure compliance. Allowing ICI recycling at landfill without cost recovery would expose the municipality to operational fees, monitoring requirements, and potential non-compliance with provincial rules. There are no additional municipal costs in 2026 related to ICI wheelie bin collection beyond the approved CPI increase, as Blue Water Recycling Association is absorbing operational costs during the transition year. Blue Water hopes to have 2027 pricing to municipalities by March of 2026. If the municipality were to absorb ICI recycling costs at the landfill, additional expenses could be incurred related to lift fees, monitoring, enforcement, and contamination management. By maintaining a user pay approach and not permitting ICI recycling at the landfill at municipal expense, the municipality avoids introducing new ongoing costs to the tax base. Long-term financial impacts will be reviewed as the provincial EPR system continues to evolve beyond 2026.
Okay, thanks, Kevin. Questions for Kevin with regards to the ICI recycling? Question I have, and I think you had a heads up on it. If we, and I look at it as a service that we're providing to industrial, commercial, and institutional areas in West Perth, but could we not put a separate bin at the landfill to provide that service? It comes into the landfill, we'd weigh it, we'd know how much we have, and we know how much it's going to cost to get rid of it. To that, like, I'm not looking that it would be a loss leader. I would hope that we would break even or make a little bit on it. Is that a possibility, Kevin?
Well, it would be a $44 charge per lift. So you could absolutely have a bin dropped off for ICI users. You would just have to determine whether or not you want to charge them to use it, or you want to cover the cost of the $44. Right now, recycling is free at the landfill. So you could absolutely provide a bin. It's just a matter of paying for the $44 per lift.
So you would have a handle on, and I'm not this maybe isn't even going to work, but you would be able to get a handle on how much a bin would hold, right?
Yeah.
Roughly. So when they come in, they go on the scale, you know how much weight they would have. Like, is it not possible to accept that and then bill the, either the industry or the commercial person or our institution?
It'd possible, you'd probably be better off to have a minimum fee. Just have a minimum fee charge for using it, right? Since this report is written, I have learned more about the system, and we currently pay for the ICI wheelie bins. Like, municipality covers all costs regarding those bins currently, so you are essentially providing recycling for free for customers. But in 2027, those costs will go up significantly, so you'll have to make the decision then whether or not you would like to cover the cost or bring it back to the customer. So you are currently paying for it. But like I said, I would probably recommend a minimum fee charge if you're going to supply a bin at the landfill.
Well, as long as the minimum fee would cover what our expenses are going to be,
Well, your minimum fee for landfill is $10. So if you did a $10 minimum fee, four customers, you have your bin paid for.
Yeah. Any other comments or questions? Okay. Anybody else think that this is an opportunity to look at or not? Councillor Bain first.
Mayor McKenzie, just another question on maybe a mixed use properties. How would we handle a property that has both uses, residential and commercial on it?
At the present time, they'll have two different bins, won't they?
Best of my knowledge, there's one bin behind the old Bank of Montreal, and that one there will currently be considered residential. From what I gathered from Blue Water, even though businesses also use it, they're still picking that up for free, I believe, because residents still use it. Other than that, I believe, yes, they would have a separate bin, has been dropped off with a red lid at every commercial customer in town.
Counselor O'Donnell?
I just get some clarification. So the commercial is currently free, or sorry, last year it was free for recycling pickup.
Technically, this year it is still free. It's only when overflow ends up at the landfill, we can no longer accept it at the landfill.
So is it on their taxes free?
I am not sure how that is set up currently. I just know it costs us $72 per bin. And we are not charging that back.
So we're technically covering the cost now.
Yes.
Let Dan, he has an answer for us here.
Yeah, so as we, oh, sorry. At this point in time, as we understand, Blue Water is just absorbing the cost. So Blue Water doesn't really have the cost broken out yet. That we'll know, then we'll know what that fee will be in 2027. So if nothing had changed January, really nothing would have changed. Your curbside collection would have been the same. I'm assuming that's what you're talking about is the wheelie bins on the curbside. Yeah, so it's something that's already in contract with the municipality. It hasn't changed. They're absorbing that cost. So yes, through taxes and levy, it's paid through that way through our contract. I think one of the issues here that we're looking at that maybe we haven't hinted on too much is more the compliance side. So I think it goes to your question perfectly, Councillor Ving, too. If there's that multi-use type of thing, or we have someone coming in claiming to be residential that's unmarked commercial or ICI or anything like that, you know, there's some good ways to tell. Some bigger companies and things, they've got names on the side of the truck or something like that, right? But there are going to be instances here where compliance is going to be quite hard. So that's where the recommendation you're seeing from staff is to just either say, don't do it, frankly, or charge everybody at a minimum fee. And we can go that route. But so sorry, did that clarify Blue Water, at least where that situation is now? So as Kevin said, they'll tell us the cost for 2027. There'll be 2027 budget discussion for council to determine if we want to continue providing that service, which yes, would be through tax levy as well, or go through I guess it's the province's model where the producer is responsible and private contract.
Anything else, Phil? No? Okay. So I guess another query that I have, so right now, it's a separate truck on a separate day that picks up this. And that's fine. So how do they know what they've got? Like, is it weighed in the truck, or is it weighed when they go to Centralia? Like, how do they know what they've got?
They only know based off of where they pick up. Red lids are institutions, blue lids are residential.
Yeah,
So they don't know. It's just if you get caught with ICI in residential, there are fines involved in that process. So that's why they're trying to keep everything separate, because the organization does not pay for institutional recycling, whereas they're covering all 100% of the costs for residential recycling.
but eventually, as Dan said, and I've heard the province say this, that they want the person that produces the cardboard and that to pay for it.
Mhm.
So how do they end up figuring how much that person pays? Is it so much a pickup, or is it weighed how much they have? Because certainly industry would have more cardboard and waste than, say, what a church would have likely, eh?
So that's why industry is not part of this program. Only residential is part of this program. ICI properties are completely separate. They have to pay for their own. The whole producer pay only works for residential.
Okay.
ICI properties are still responsible to pay for their own recycling fees.
And we won't know what that is until March or so of this year when they come out with their prices.
Well, currently it's $72 per wheelie bin. But in 2027, those costs will go up significantly
Right.
to the point where you probably won't want to pay for it.
So this is, I may be premature with my questions, like it's probably something, as Dan said, once we know what the costs are, then a decision could be made how we want to handle it at that time, I guess, eh?
They're almost separate matters to a degree, right? One's your landfill and one's your curbside really bin service. And yeah, we don't know, different private contractors out there might charge per pickup, some might charge weight. I don't know. I think that's each their own on a free market of how they want to charge. So, but we'll have to wait and see, as Kevin said, a little bit to get Blue Water's full picture.
Yeah, no, I can see that now. And I guess the opportunity will be there. As you said, there could be other suppliers that will come along wanting to do that, you know? So, okay, no, I wasn't trying to put you in a rough spot here, Kevin. Councillor Vink.
Mayor McKenzie, do we still have a representative on the Blue Water Recycling Association board? All right, great.
Phil.
And
Have you
maybe,
got anything
maybe
to
sometime
put
Phil
down?
could make a presentation and speak to it in the future. It doesn't have to be tonight.
Yeah, Blue Water would probably come and talk to. I know in the past that they've come and talked to us about issues, so it's something that we could ask for. Sure.
We understand them to have a bit better grasp on costing and things in mid-March. So I think we've already kind of approached them that we're going to want a bit more information and stuff to come. It's quite new and it was quite the discussion for anyone that attended Roma as well. It's certainly new and being unpacked as we go.
Well, I think, whether you blame the province or who you blame, but the communications on it was not very good. And I know there was an article on I believe it was the London News one night, and they didn't even know what was going on, and all they knew, it wasn't getting picked up. So, any other questions for Kevin? Go ahead, Councilor Duck.
What category would the farmers fall under? Is it a residential bin still, or do they get the red bins for their farm entity? How does that break down? Just so I can have a rougher or better idea, sorry.
I could not answer that question at this time. I've never even thought about it, to be honest with you. I would imagine residential, unless it's a huge commercial for, I couldn't ask it. I couldn't answer that question, sorry.
My understanding, if it's commercial, so if it's a farm, and it's got a business associated with it, it'll have a bin with a red lid. And we have red lids here. And anything with a red lid is either commercial, industrial, or institutional, which is basically what we are. So if it has a red lid, it'll be picked up separately and on a separate day.
So I think that kind of clears things up. So they would still have their residential bins, though they wouldn't have lost that. Yes, that for their household or household goods and whatnot. And then if they did, like you said, had a registered farm business, then they may have one for those products separately, but they're not going to lose their blue bin altogether. It would just be an addition.
They'll have their wheelie bin, and I guess theoretically they could have three bins. Like they could have the one with the black lid for garbage, and one with the blue lid. I can't remember. Blue lid, isn't it? For recycling, and then the red lid if it's a commercial. So, yeah, it isn't really that clear. And I haven't seen any out in the country. I don't know if there's any red lids out there or not, but is there? Yeah, okay. So that's the way it's supposed to be. So, any other questions? Okay, do have a motion here that the Council Municipality of West Perth direct the industrial, commercial, and institutional (ICI) recycling and landfill disposal shall not be provided at municipal expense, and further that the cost of recycling and disposal of ICI materials should be the financial responsibility of the property owner. Do we have a mover and seconder for that? Moved by Councillor Donald, seconded by Councillor Phelps. Any further discussion? Bill? Question?
I guess I was just wondering if we could defer this until we get more information on if we're gonna push it onto the ICIs. Or like, are we looking
Look, I
to
think
make that decision tonight
well, I think Kevin's maybe looking for a decision, because as of right now, we're not taking industrial, commercial, or institutional, right?
Yes, so at this time, we are not taking it at the landfill. We're kind of looking for a direction for the landfill at this time. We can bring it back when we get all the information, but it's just some commercial properties have shown they're interested in having one there. And currently we are not allowed to accept it. So if you would like to provide that service this year in the short term, we can definitely order a bin, get it dropped off, and then revisit it when we get more information, or we can just not accept it and then revisit it when we get more information.
Council Phelps?
I may be misunderstood, but Blue Water's covering the cost for 26 anyways, up to 27. That's correct?
Not for
Industrial.
bins. They're covering the cost of the increased wheelie bin.
So they pay for the bin.
They pay for the curbside pickup. They are not covering the cost of the dumpsters at the landfill.
Right. Okay.
So you would be covering the 100% of the costs at the landfill.
Yeah, because I can't see that we're gonna put ICI costs into residential taxes on anybody. So yeah, I think at some point it sounds like that's the direction they're gonna go, and that's what we're gonna have to do anyways, right?
Yeah, so what I've gathered talking to Blue Water is you'll have three options. You can continue paying 100% of the costs. You could put the cost back on the customer, or you can essentially wash your hands, be done with it, and they can provide their own services through individual providers. Those will be the three options that you'll have when we get more information.
But you're saying, sorry, you're saying that we have interested parties that already are asking about this option.
Yes, because in the past, they were utilizing the dumpsters at the landfill, even though they technically weren't supposed to, but because it was all mixed, it wasn't really a big deal. Now with the fines coming in, it has become a big deal, and Blue Water has made it they've made that point very clear that we are not to accept any commercial unless we have a separate bin for it.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Duck?
Does the staff have time to take on the extra work that would be required to keep everything separate, charge people and, facilitate operating it at this time?
I would say no, like it's very difficult to watch and manage everything that's going on up there between all the other stuff. It is difficult. Some residents in town also have small businesses. It's very difficult to manage those situations. Obviously, you'll never win all of it. As long as ICI customers are not bringing in large volumes, it's very difficult to manage. I don't know how the audit system works yet, so we'll see how they audit it, if they even come out, I'm not exactly sure at this time.
Hey, Adam is online here. He has a comment, I believe. So Adam, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Through you, Mayor. Can everyone hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay, great. So yeah, just to kind of shed some light on it. So as Kevin said, we do have a few options here, but just to keep in mind, if we are, looking to add that, I guess, extra service at our landfill, that we would be charging those businesses with, we get added that extra pressure, like Kevin just said to Councillor Duck's question, more staff time, compliance that's needed at the site. We'd be charging the IC&I sector, the businesses, regardless, even if they're bringing it to the landfill. So, in a way, you could cut out the middleman, which we would be playing in that case, and they would negotiate with Blue Water on their own to have their pickups done, which is, more convenient at their location. Many other municipalities are dealing with this right now and going through the same challenges, but I think that seems to be the message that I'm hearing across some of the sectors, is that they're encouraging IC&I sector to negotiate with a pickup provider on their own, much like they would a garbage bin. They've been responsible for looking after their own waste. So now it's just another service that they're responsible for. So just keeping that in mind, that they're likely going to pay regardless. So really doesn't matter where they pay it to.
Okay, thanks, Adam. Anybody else? Councillor Harold?
So we could easily put a bin up at the landfill site and at least for now, use our minimum charge for any ICI recycling brought up there, at least until March or April when we have more information, but that would at least give us a start and give them a place to take it at this point. Is that right?
Yes, in my experience, they will not like to pay. Because like Adam said, they currently already have that service and they're just not utilizing it. Right, so instead of paying for their own bin pickup, they're just taking it to landfill for free. So it is better if you just pick it up at your site as opposed to making us go through that process.
Councillor Vink?
Mayor McKenzie, I think I'm also hearing that it would be very difficult to enforce and compliance for this short term. So I'd be tempted not to add it here until we have more information.
So up until now, Kevin, of course, it's a whole new ballgame, and that's what makes it hard. But other years, rather than having recycling the cardboard and that, what they would bring it to the landfills. That's what you're saying.
Yes, so historically, it's usually overfill. So like if they have big shipment or something, some customers that I know already have a dumpster bin with Blue Water, but instead of paying for an extra pickup, they'll just bring it to the landfill and fill 2 of our dumpsters for nothing.
And you've kind of answered my next question, was how much was that used before? Like if they've got a wheelie bin now, or if they've got a dumpster, the dumpster would be just overflow at certain times of the year, when they had a lot of cardboard or whatever. But normally through the year, is there a big demand or not much demand at all? Do you know?
There's still quite a bit of commercial properties utilize the dumpsters at the landfill, as we found out by not allowing them to show up.
Okay, good. Any other questions? Councillor Duck?
I just want a little more for clarity, and I do apologize if it was already specified, but when you said the $44 dump fee, Kevin, is that for the standard size we all kind of have at our properties, or is that for a big one that multiple people are dumping in and then they're dumping and taking that big one?
Yeah, that's for a dumpster.
A dumpster, okay.
Yeah, it's $44 per lift per dumpster.
So if we were charging, and I'm just throwing numbers out or whatever, if somebody brought in their household size red lid dumpster, we could say charge $10. 4 people fill that up, we've recuperated 40 of it, or see $15 or whatever. We could set that fee. So it's not each household that brings a full size dumpster is paying 44. It's for the actual dumpster. Thank you.
Anybody else? Councillor Phelps?
So if, say, a contractor's bringing in metal, they're gonna charge them for that?
No, metal is a separate. This is only for cardboard and other
Plastics, whatever, yeah.
Anything you'd usually throw in your blue bin, scrap steel is still 100% free.
I think the more detail we get into it, the more confusing it gets. I'm beginning to think that maybe we would be better to wait and see what happens halfway through the year. Like right now, as long as if they have a dumpster with a red lid on, it's going to be picked up, and it will be picked up for this year. It's probably a call that would be best made maybe towards the end of the year or maybe in the summertime, effective in the new year. But that's just my thought right now. Nothing is ever simple, and that was the comments I think we had at the conference too. Everybody was just so confused as to what was going on. Anything further, Dan?
No, I recognize that there is a motion on the floor and you're discussing, but if I think what staff are looking for at a minimum right now is just some confirmation that if anything, don't accept anything right now, and then maybe we report back to council at a later date is maybe a little bit what we're hearing. Let's pump the brakes, let some dust settle, get some more information, but at least that support that we're not going to accept anything, I think for now is what we're after.
Yes.
Okay, no, And you gotta refresh my memory where we're at. Did we have a mover and seconder for this? Okay, so we've. Yep, sure, go ahead, Doug.
Well, basically, we're not gonna accept the landfill and it's up to them to negotiate where they're putting the recycling right now. Is that what we're saying?
I think, yeah, for the time being, they still have curbside, right? So as Kevin said, it's the overflow right now, but I think, yeah, let's get that definitive kind of pause, support the recommendation here not to take it at the landfill, and we can unpack it a bit more and have presentation come back.
Phil?
I guess if somebody shows up with a truckload full of cardboard, for example, and we don't take it, could they offer to dump it in the garbage? And pay the minimum fee?
No.
What if it was in the black garbage bags?
And then if staff were to inspect that garbage, that would be a fine. We're trying not to fill our landfill faster than we have to, so that would not be an ideal situation.
I think, just to summarize, I think where we run into the problem, I think the wheelie bins for the smaller commercial and institutional, they probably are working out, for this year, Blue Water is gonna look after it. Where we get into problems is the larger producer with the bins, and they have more than what will fit into the bin, and traditionally, they've taken it to the landfill. Now, we're saying, no, you can't take it to the landfill. And they either got to stockpile it someplace, and when the bin's empty, put it in the bin again, or, take it home and burn it, whatever, which I don't think Bill wants to have happen. So, and that's where I was coming from with, providing that service, but it's maybe not as much needed as what I initially thought, like it'd be a certain time of year when there'd be a lot of cardboard, and other times of the year when then there'd be less, eh?
Typically, yes.
Okay. Oops, sorry, Dean?
Through you, Mayor McKenzie. I guess my question is to Kevin or Adam. What's the chances of things being dumped at the side of the road because of all this confusion about where it should go, how much it should cost, and so on and so forth? Are we liable to see material being dumped at the side of the road just because people want to get rid of it and don't want to figure out what the solution is?
I would say no. I mean, it's a very small cost. Like I said, an extra wheelie bin is free at the moment. A dumpster is $44 a lift. I mean, we're talking very small increases to commercial properties. I mean, there's nothing stopping them from doing it other than the fines that are put out.
Councillor Duck.
Gonna ask one more here. I don't mean to beat this dead, but can the businesses that are having excess ICI recycling just get a bin themselves, like a dumpster, if they have the room at the property? Is that something that they could do and then set up, and then we don't have to, we can just say no? Like I mean, obviously not everybody's gonna have the room. I'm not trying to suggest that, but at the end of the day, if these people are having frequent uses of excess recycling, can they just speak with Blue Water and just get a full-size dumpster or some sort of bin that way that's bigger for their needs?
Yes. So currently, all they have to do is call Blue Water and get another wheelie bin for free. Or again, going forward, some places have 10 wheelie bins. They would be better off to get a dumpster at that point with the future costs coming. But it's essentially just calling Blue Water and getting another bin dropped off. Like, it's very easy, very cheap.
Okay. Anything else? We've kind of ran that one around the mill a few times. Okay, so the recommendation, we read it and it's been moved and seconded. Do we need to read it again? Does everybody know what we're doing here? Okay. I'm not sure who moved and seconded now after all that discussion.
Through the chair, I've got Councillor O'Donnell and Councillor Phelps. Thank you.
Okay. So all those in favor of the recommendation? Opposed, if any? Let's just do that again and just leave your hands up for all those in favor. 1, 2, 3, 4. Opposed? That is carried. And I think keep in mind that after we have a visit from Blue Water, we can maybe have another look at this and make a decision for the first of the year as to what we're going to do. So, okay. Moving on, and Kevin, you're still here. Herbert Street rehabilitation. So, Kevin?
Thank you. So for the Herbert Street report, it was recommended that council, the municipality of West Perth, approve the revised budget for WWT 003 Herbert Street Sewage Pumping Station Mechanical Refurbishment Capital Project approved in the 2026 budget, reflecting funding of 73% from the province through the Ministry of Infrastructure's Health and Safety Water Stream Program, and that the additional municipal funding required to be funded from the wastewater reserve, and further that the mayor and clerk be authorized to sign any agreements required to accept the provincial funding. Purpose: on November 23rd, 2025, the municipality of West Perth was notified of its successful grant application to the Ministry of Infrastructure's Health and Safety Water Stream Program. Through this program, West Perth has been awarded $2,057,125, representing 73% of the total eligible project cost to support the Herbert Street Pumping Station Mechanical Rehab Project. The remaining 27% municipal share totals $759,375, bringing the estimated construction cost of the project to $2,812,500. In addition to the municipal share, the municipality is required to pay grant match associated fees calculated as 10% on the first million of grant funding for a total of $101,760 and 5% on the remaining grant funding for a total of $53,583. The total estimated fees payable to grant match would be $155,343. Council previously approved $500,000 in the capital budget for upgrades to the Herbert Street Sewage Pumping Station. When combined with the estimated project cost and grant match fees, the total funding required to complete the project is $2,967,843. As a result, the Environmental Services Department will be requesting an additional $414,718 to fully fund the project. Background: the municipality has evaluated rehab and expansion options for the Herbert Street Sewage Pumping Station over several years. However, budget constraints have previously limited progress. Constructed in the early 1980s, the Herbert Street Sewage Pumping Station is now the oldest component of West Perth's wastewater system. The pumping equipment has become increasingly unreliable, and the escalating maintenance and repair demands are no longer sustainable from a life cycle cost-benefit perspective. The Herbert Street Sewage Pumping Station is the primary wastewater collection point prior to conveyance to the Mitchell Wastewater Treatment Plant. It services three quadrants of the community: southeast, southwest, and northwest, including the fastest growing residential areas. Its critical role will become even more significant as new residential developments and a newly developed industrial area in the southeast quadrant are connected to the system. In addition, the Herbert Street Sewage Pumping Station receives overflow from the James Street Sewage Pumping Station during high flow events. Rehab, capacity retention, and capacity expansion of the Herbert Street Sewage Pumping Station are essential to maintaining reliable wastewater service for existing residents while accommodating future growth. This project will substantially improve the resilience and operational reliability of West Perth's most critical wastewater collection asset. With planned upgrades to the wastewater treatment plant planned, this project represents a timely and strategic investment in the municipality's wastewater infrastructure. Analysis: the original approved scope of the Herbert Street Sewage Pumping Station mechanical refurbishment included replacement of valves in the dry well, installation of new gates in the wet well, installation of 3 new pumps and valve systems. With the successful grant funding, the municipality is able to proceed with a more comprehensive upgrade of this critical asset. The revised project scope includes construction of a new concrete dry well system, replacing the existing wet well that is nearing the end of its service life, excavation and construction of a concrete dry storage facility for pumps, construction of above ground winterized control building, installation of 3 new 50 horsepower pumps, installation of a generator set, 2 flow meters, a gantry and hoist system, and associated electrical and control infrastructure. Discussions will be held with the project engineers to coordinate the new electrical scope, as a generator and some electrical upgrades have already been completed. The new dry well will connect to the existing pumping station via 30 meters of 300 millimeter piping, incorporating new pressure relief valves, 1 12-inch gate valve, 1 14-inch gate valve, 1 sluice gate, 2 flow monitoring meters. The existing electrical system will be extended to integrate the new dry well pumping equipment, with the new control building. And below is a breakdown of the estimated costs for the project.
Okay, thanks, Kevin. Any questions for Kevin on that? Deputy Mayor?
Yep, thank you, Mayor McKenzie, through you. Two questions. What's the anticipated, for Kevin, the anticipated start time and completion time is my first question.
I could not answer that. We were not sure we got the grant, so we have not quite started the initial conversation with our engineers.
Okay, but it's presumably it's a 2026 project.
I believe 2027 is the final date in it, but yes, it will be started in 2026.
So in other words, it would be, we would go to tender as soon as possible once all the administrative stuff was
Yes,
prepared.
yes. And like I said, we've already had a pre-conversation with our engineers, so we have some information already started.
And my second question for staff, I'm not quite following the math on this, the grant match, like 10% on the first million of grant funding, wouldn't that be $100,000 even instead of 101,760? Just
So those are the numbers that were provided to me through the finance department. I'm sure there might just be a fee on top of the 10%.
guess that's my question. I don't know if Dan is or Adam or someone else is able to fill me in on that, or Wendy.
Dan, can you answer that, or Adam? Wendy's on Zoom as well, so.
At this point, I am at a loss unless Wendy is able to jump on.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep.
We can hear you.
Yeah, as far as I know, it's 10% on the first million and then it's 5% on the remaining balance. So I'm not sure on the calculation. But what I know from Grant Match, that's their fee.
I guess, like basically what we have to do here is accept the grant. So I guess you can always check the numbers and get back to us. But it is what it is, like 10% on the first million. And that should be, should be 100,000.
We agree. Sorry, it's likely an oversight. The main aspect it's here, it's because it's quite the change of scope in budget. As noted, obviously, there's a large portion that is grant funded, but yeah, that's why it's here.
Adam, do you have anything further to add?
As far as the finance portion, no, I don't have anything further to add on that.
But it has to be wrapped up sometime in 2027 though, right?
That's correct. Yeah, we would start the process basically after, if we receive approval tonight, we would start our discussions with the engineering firm immediately after this.
Okay, all right. Anybody else, any questions? Okay, we do have a recommendation here then, that the Council Municipality of West Perth approve the revised budget for the wastewater treatment -003 Herbert Street SPS mechanical refurbishment capital project approved in the 2026 budget, reflecting funding of 73% from the province through the Ministry of Infrastructure, Health and Safety Water Stream Program, and that the additional municipal funding required to fund from the wastewater reserve 01-9102-0710, and further that the mayor and clerk be authorized to sign any agreements required to accept the provincial funding. We have a mover and seconder for that. Councillor Harold, Councillor Foster. Any further discussion or questions? All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That is carried. Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
All right, moving on then, nothing from Community Services, I don't believe at this time anyways. Brings us down to correspondence, and we have one from the Ministry of Agriculture and Food and Agribusiness, impact assessment. Anybody, Dan or James, want to talk about that one? I think it was there, like we had it. James?
Through the chair, yeah, sorry, I figured you'd ask about development charges. So this is, basically an ERO registry opened up with a tool for municipalities for identifying, addressing long-term impacts for non-agricultural development on the agricultural system. So essentially backing that up, there's the agricultural assistance impact assessments that municipalities can undertake. You can do these types of studies when you're looking at new development and the impact that it might have on agriculture in the area. And the ministry's prepared a new guidance document to help municipalities. So if they are undertaking these types of studies, they've got that guidance document that can help them out with undertaking those agricultural impact assessments. So hopefully that's a decent summary of that there. Thank you.
Very good.
Sorry.
Very good. No,
Thanks, Ken.
and more or less just for information. The next one is from the Attorney General, talking about tailgate events and permits under the Liquor License Control Act. One of you want to explain that one too?
Oh, sure. I can speak to that one a little bit. Yeah, that's just some expanded guidance for tailgate or bring your own beer event licenses. So for sporting event or tailgate parties, as they might be known around sporting events, there's some expanded provisions for bring your own beer to these types of events. So that's what that notification is about.
Not to be mixed with our
Yes.
West Perth Village event.
I was just going to mention that the tailgate party with regards to West Perth Village would not apply. The next one is strong mayor powers and police service boards. Again, that one is just for information as much as anything.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And it's just to sort of a reminder, I guess, from the province that the strong mayor powers that are available to the head of council don't include the ability to limit the budget of police service boards. So it's just clarifying a restriction that are on those strong mayor powers.
And the last one is from Watson and Associates, and I read this one 3 times to get a handle on it. Who wants to just? It's with regards to development.
Yeah, you betcha. So this is just Bill 60 coming into effect. So it includes it's an omnibus bill. So it's a bill that changes and proposes amendments to a whole bunch of different existing pieces of legislation, including the Development Charges Act. Probably the 2 main things are that it'll create a separate class of service and reserve fund for land acquisitions. And it imposes some timelines for the annual treasurer statement that has to be done for development charges amendments. And then specifically this new land acquisition class, it's expected to have limited impact on municipalities, probably with values of our size. But when you're getting into larger urban centers, it's going to factor into their level of service calculation that they come up with for charging development charges. So hopefully that makes a complicated subject a little more clear.
Yeah, Councillor Fournier.
I couldn't quite make the progress you did, your worship, and there was one paragraph in here that I could not make heads or tails of. It's right at the bottom of page 3, and it reads, Section 35 of the DCA is amended to add an exception to the use of monies in established reserve funds. This section states that monies in reserve fund can be used for land acquisition. However, they cannot be used for land acquisition if those costs are to be paid for with the reserve fund established for land acquisition. What? What does that mean, through your worship, please?
Through the chair. So I won't attempt to interpret the legalese any better than you can there, but essentially what this is talking about is these established reserve funds can be used for land acquisitions. However, there are certain criteria or triggers in which they cannot
be used for land acquisition. So yes, in some cases, these funds can be used for land acquisition. In some circumstances, they may not be used for land acquisition, depending on what those circumstances are.
Well, like I said, I read it 3 times and I still wasn't sure what I was done. And I talked to James today and I said, hope somebody can explain it. Okay, the recommendation that we have here then is that the council municipality of West Perth accept the correspondence as information. We have a mover and seconder for that. Councillor O'Donnell, Councillor Fournier, all those in favor? Opposed, if any, that's carried. The next one is, well, we didn't have it as correspondence, but a letter from the Rotary Club requesting additional funding for the Canada 2026 celebrations. The letter is there. They kind of explain what they're trying to do. Dan, do you want to elaborate a little bit more?
Sure, thank you. I think the mayor and I have been just trying to meet with the club to get a better understanding of the event and its goals moving forward. Unfortunately, we just haven't been able to meet yet, but I think at this point in time, it's probably prudent for council if they wish to approve the funding ask there. And I think, you know, we've got a couple different options that it might not necessarily be cash. It's mainly around insurance is the implication. So we wanted to approach them with bringing it in under our insurance somehow and covering it. So this is mainly just worst case scenario, we can provide that funding to them. And if not, we can also try and provide the service through insurance to them through other means as well. But we haven't had that discussion with them yet, unfortunately. And I think this was the second letter we received. So we thought we'd bring it forward.
Well, I think we have set up a date to meet with them, but I'm not sure. Yeah, not, it hasn't been confirmed, I guess. Yeah, okay. Doug, go ahead.
Could we just defer this till we have a little more information? Because I'm reading through the letter also, I'm a little confused about the dollar things. When we did the homecoming, we got sponsors for the soapbox that covered the costs. The insurance company, our insurance company at that time had no objections to this operating the soapbox. They were more concerned about fireworks and dunk tanks and some other things, but the soapbox didn't seem to be a concern. And the shortfall of 2,500 without seeing numbers or a budget, like, so what happens if it's 2,000? Are we donating an extra $500 to the service club, or is there a way that we can, if there's a shortfall, we just pay for the shortfall?
Yeah, I happy to bring it back. Too, I think at where we were moving forward with the 2,500, if it were cash, it would be a cash contribution in form of a sponsorship or something to that effect, similar as we've done with the Chamber of Commerce. We sponsored the fireworks show or something to that. So it was really just a last kind of I guess as a last effort, if it come to that. We have the funding in our marketing budget to do such a thing. So it was kind of a worst case scenario. We would sponsor the event for 2,500. And as I said, we've got a couple other ideas that we wanted to pitch to Rotary on how else we could maybe support the event and grow the event besides just sponsoring it or providing cash to it. But we're happy to report back as well.
Yeah, I think we could, and I realize you're going away.
But it's not.
So, yeah, no, I think we'll try and meet with them within the next month. The 12th, is that confirmed?
No.
Not yet? Okay, but we'll try and get something and come back with another council meeting after we meet with them and confirm everything up. Then we can firm it up with actual numbers. So do we need a motion to defer that at this time, or?
We can take it as direction, or you can give us a motion to refer it back to staff. Either or, it'll come back to you.
What? Direction's fine? Okay, all right. Okay, moving on. The next one is with regards to talking about tailgate festivals, and this is the one that we have with West Perth Village. And the letter is there. It's pretty self-explanatory because of powers beyond their control, dates change, so they have to change. I just hope that it's a little warmer if they move it. Yeah, or not raining. So any questions on that? It's, you know, they're still, they've checked it with staff and it works out. So if there are no questions, I'll read the resolution here and we can go from there. The recommendation is that the municipality of West Perth approve the date change for the municipally significant West Perth Village Tailgate Music Festival event from September the 18th and 19th, 2026 to September the 25th and 26th of 2026. Do I have a mover and seconder for that? Councilor Fournier, Councilor Phelps. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That is carried. Okay, I don't believe we have any council reports. We have a number of bylaws here. Bylaw 71 for drainage works for the Cook Municipal Drain. Bylaw number 8, bylaw to provide for drainage works in the Campbell Hussel? Is that Hussel Drain? I always call them Hustle. Bylaw number 9, authorize the execution of an agreement for purchase and sale of Block 10, Plan 548 Fullerton. And bylaw 10, a bylaw to authorize the execution of an agreement of purchase and sale for part of lot 22 registered compiled plan 478 Mitchell, being parts 3 and 4, 44R 6066, subject to an easement over part 3, 44R 6066, as is an R8 4493, being part of PIN 53193-0025 in the municipality of West Perth. Bylaw 11, to exempt part lot control for lot 15 Mitchell in the municipality of West Perth, 44M-95. Bylaw 12, a bylaw to exempt part lot control 44M-95, lot 16, PIN number 53188-0729. Bylaw 13 is a bylaw to exempt from part lot control 44M88, lot 4 in the municipality of West Perth, being all of PIN 53200-0406, and zoning bylaw 318-2026, being a bylaw to amend bylaw number 100, 1998, as amended for a property legally described as part lot 22, concession 12 Fullerton in the municipality of West Perth. So the recommendation is that the municipality of West Perth give first and second reading to bylaw number 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and zoning bylaw number Z318 this 26th day of January. We have a mover and seconder for that. Councillor Harold, Councillor O'Donnell. Any discussion on any of those bylaws? Nobody's changed their mind on any of them? Okay, all those in favor? Opposed, if any? That is carried. And finally, the recommendation that Council Municipality of West Perth give third and final reading to bylaw 71, 2025. For bylaw 71, 2025, bylaw 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and zoning bylaw 318, this 26th day of January. So third and final reading. Move and seconder for that. Moved by Councillor Phelps, seconded by Deputy Mayor Tronkowski. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Oh, do you have a question? Oh, sorry, no, okay. All those in favor? Opposed, if any, that's carried. Number of announcements there. I guess, pardon? Oh, yeah, Alex here. The next council meeting I'll highlight there is February the 2nd. The rest of them are there for your perusal, I think. No notices of motion. Any other business at this time? We do have a closed session, and the, wish to have an update of the Mitchell Arena Community Center capital upgrade. So the recommendation is that the Council of Municipality of West Perth proceed into closed session under section 239 subsection 2 of the Municipal Act as amended at 8:34 PM to address the matter related to a trade secret or scientific, technical, commercial, financial, or labor relations information supplied in confidence to the municipality or local board in which, if disclosed, could reasonably be expected to prejudice significantly the competitive position or interfere significantly with the contractual or other negotiations of a person, group of persons, or organization. And that is with regards to the arena capital upgrade. And I guess that's it. So mover and seconder to go into closed session. Councillor Foster, Deputy Mayor Trinkowski. All those, question before we go in?
Could you, Mayor McKenzie, or maybe CAO, just explain a little bit more detail of why we're going into closed session to talk about the West Perth Arena upgrades?
Because there's a couple proposals.
Okay,
Go ahead, Dan.
Specifically financials.
okay. Maybe, so it is closed session an appropriate spot to discuss these issues if it was tender based and then because I'm not sure why we're going in, so I'm just looking for clarification that it's the appropriate spot and not to do that kind of discussion in public.
Yeah, so we've gone through and had meetings, so there's two separate proposals that we're looking at. They're quite different. And there's just some aspects of it that we felt warranted fit the exemption to come in.
Okay. So moved and second, we voted to go into closed session, didn't we, James? We haven't voted, but moved and second. Okay. All those in favor of going into closed session? Opposed, if any? That is carried. Thank you. We can take a 5-minute break if you want. So we did meet in closed session to discuss some issues and information with regards to the arena, and staff was given direction to continue on with discussions. Now I gotta find my spot on my. Last page. What's that?
Give it to me quick.
Oh, okay, yep, floor's yours.
I just wanted to follow up, Deputy Mayor had a question earlier on the grant match and the numbers in there. And actually what we're looking at there is the non-rebate portion for GST. So that explains the difference there on the percentage. Sorry.
Okay. No, that certainly explains it. Okay, done the bylaws. Okay, so the next item then is the confirmatory bylaw. And bylaw 14, 2026, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the Council of the Corporation of the Municipality of West Perth be read a first and second time this 26th day of January. Mover and seconder for confirmation bylaw, Councillor Foster, Deputy Mayor Trenkowski. All those in favor? That is carried. Bylaw 14, 2026, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council of the Corporation of the Municipality of West Perth be read a third time and finally passed this 26th day of January. Councillor Duck and Councillor O'Donnell, all those in favor? Opposed, if any, that's carried. And then a motion to adjourn our council meeting at 9:46. Councillor Foster and Councillor Councillor Phelps, sorry, at 9:46. All in favor? Opposed?